Okay, let's get started with our lesson for today. The first lesson that we had about the Pythagorean theorem, we spent almost all of our time finding the hypotenuse. Today we're going to make it possible for you to find either of the legs or the hypotenuse, depending on what information you're given. And remember from yesterday or from our last lesson that a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and c squared is always the hypotenuse or the longest side. So here's the procedures. Fill in your guided notes with this information, please. Label each side of the right triangle. Set up the equation a squared plus b squared equals c squared with provided information, and then solve the equation. So here's our first triangle. So if you look at it very carefully, you'll notice that we do have the hypotenuse, and we also have the bottom. So I like to call the side where you go up and down, I like to call that side A. So let me get my marker ready. I like to call this A for altitude or up and down, and then B bottom for the bottom. So then I set up my equation. A squared plus 6 squared equals c squared, or the hypotenuse squared. So simplifying that a little bit, I've got a squared plus 36 equals 121. So now I'm going to minus 36 from both sides. So 121 minus 36, okay? So what would I get? I would do 12, take away 1 gives me 11, bring 1 over that 1 that I borrowed. Now I have 11 minus 6, which is 5, and 11 minus 3, which is 8. And all of that is equal to a squared. So to find my final answer, I just need to take the square root of a squared and the square root of 85. And that will give me a. So the square root of 85, I'm going to use my calculator. You probably won't see it on the screen, but you can try it on your calculator. So I got 85, then take the square root, and I get a nice big decimal, 9.219, and it goes on and on and on and on. So I'm going to round to the nearest hundred or nearest tenth right here. So that's going to give me a equals 9.2. And then whatever the units are, if there happen to be feet or inches, it depends on the problem you're given, right? Okay, our second one. If you notice, the triangle's been kind of tipped over. We can maybe redraw this triangle looking like this. So there's the right angle. Here's the hypotenuse, which is 8, and the bottom of the triangle is 2. So we're looking for A again, or the altitude of this triangle. So I'll just do a squared plus 2 squared equals c squared. And then we just go ahead and fill out the numbers. A squared plus 4 equals 64. Subtract 4 from both sides, and that will give me a squared. 4's cancel out, and it equals 60. So then I just have to do the square root again. Square root of a squared, square root of 60, and that would be a. Now I could leave this square root of 60 as square root of 60 and even try and simplify it like we've done. But for this assignment, until we say otherwise, we're rounding, and this one says round to the nearest tenth. So you're going to use your calculator, put in the number 60, and do your square root, and that's going to give you a 7.7 when you round it to the nearest tenth as your answer. Okay, we've got another one. It looks like we've got another one that's kind of been tipped over. Let's set this one back upright. Kind of slanted the other way, but here's our right angle. We know the hypotenuse, which is 5. We know the bottom, which is 2. So we're looking for this length right here, the altitude. So once again, a squared plus 2 squared of the b squared equals c squared. So a squared plus 4 equals 25. And then you're going to subtract that 4 from both sides, and which will leave you with a squared equals 21. So if I take the square root of both sides, I'm going to get a equals, and then on my calculator, do the square root of 21, and round it to the nearest tenth, I would get 4.6. So 4.6, isn't that pretty slick? So it's pretty easy to do. I hope you'll get the gist of this. Now these are just finding A or B. If we were trying to find the hypotenuse, we would do what we did on our first lesson. Okay, I think we've got one more example here. Let's see. Yeah, we got one more example. And this one we have both A and B, so we're going to write down A squared, so 12 squared, plus 5 squared equals C, which is the hypotenuse squared over there. And 12 squared is 144. C squared is 25. B squared, is 25. And all of that equals C squared. When I add those two numbers together, I get a nice 169. And all of that equals C squared. So to find C, I'm going to do the square root of both sides, which gives me C on the right side, and the square root of 169 on the left side, which I happen to know this time, is 13. I don't need to use a calculator. I've already done that before. So there's my answer on that triangle. So today you might have to find one of the legs or the hypotenuse, not just the hypotenuse like we did on our first assignment. If you have to find one of the legs, expect to do a subtraction in your problem in order to get ready to take that square root. Okay, our assignment is number 82, the Pythagorean Theorem. On any side, it's an Alex assignment. You'll want to get a work paper and show your work. Thank you very much.